and welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 reviews up this week. The first of which is The Fall of Elena Temple. Fall from a ledge, collect the coins below, then undo back to where you fell from, with the coins in your own pockets. An old-school puzzle platformer in which you explore rooms, avoid pearls, and collect coins to progress. Miss some coins? Fall, collect, undo. Falling into some spikes? Undo. Right, so before we get going on this, this game does have an AI warning attached to it. In that the background, not anything in the, in the Grim Boy down is AI generated. It's the border that's the AI generated imagery that apparently has been touched up by hands to get the pixelated look.
Is it? It looks almost normal.
Honestly, if you told me this was somebody's just stock photo set they put through a pixel filter, I'd believe you.
I don't disbelieve you. I was just wondering the provenance on the comment on the thing.
Well, I'm noting this is what the game's own AI-generated content disclosure says.
Okay.
You know, it's like backgrounds were created from AI-generated images, which were then modified by hand to obtain their final pixel art form. So basically, what happened to our logo here?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, none of us particularly like it, but, you know. Anyway, putting that aside, you know, the actual... trying to, like, the game part of the game, so to speak. You know, the LCD Grim Boy thing. So... I think we talked about it when we talked to the developer of this particular project some apparently 8 months ago. And I did look it up. This is actually an actual game for the Playdate device.
That's what I was like, what device is this? And then, because I was thinking of the Playdate, but the name wasn't ringing, to mind.
Yeah, I'm like, and for those who might not know, which in fairness is probably quite a lot of people, the Playdate is a, best way to put it, modern day Curio.
Honestly, yeah.
Everything, it's basically Quirk made plastic. Because it's this LCD device, though thankfully, of a higher quality than, say, a Tiger Electronics LCD. Or even a Game Boy. Like, the screen is an absolute shit. As you'd expect from a modern LCD, LED screen. But anyway... the quirk of the machine is the input device, in that what you have is a crank.
Which is a choice.
Very, very quirky one. Like I said, this thing is pure indie darling pablum. I'm trying to think if it had any actual buttons, because I remember the thing, that everyone made mention was
hope it does.
Was the crank.
Otherwise, your only options are clockwise, counterclockwise, and fold the thing in.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. That's the challenge, if you will, to build a game around that kind of limited input device. Look. This is a game developer's game developers' niche here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't purport to understand it, because the Playdate is quite the expensive bit of kit, from what I remember. I think it's like $199.
Something like that. It is not cheap.
No. I mean, it's kind of the Whole Foods of LCD devices.
Right.
And regardless, it's not really all that important to our review here, because we're not reviewing the Playdate version. We're reviewing the Steam version. And the game is available on all the major consoles that you would actually own. And with that in mind, it is what it purports to be, an old school adventure game that would be on home on the Game Boy or on your 80s PC.
Or your Tiger Electronics thing or whatever.
I'm like, no, this game's too good.
Fair. I can see a stripped down version on a Tiger Electronics thing, but yeah, I see your point.
It's like
the main thing that Tiger Electronics type things can't do is you can't have the possibility of more than one thing in the same space.
Right.
Right, among other things. It's also this game is actually way too advanced for any LCD thing from the 1980s. I'm including Game & Watch on that list.
Fair.
It's not so much in actions, because you can control this with a crank and a button.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently the Playdate does have a button or a button input. That's how you do the undo command there.
Mm-hmm.
The point
there
is,
isn't any actual platforming jumping here, just straight up. You can't even go forward with it.
The point is, no LCD game would have design this rich. Not even a Game & Watch. They were all very short, very shallow score attack affairs or whatever. Or, trying to desperately emulate something approximating a reflection of the console version. I'm looking at you, Tiger LCD version of Double Dragon, Mega Man 2. Way too many.
There is no Mega Man 2, is there? There might be, anyway.
There is.
One of the Mega Man ones, the D-pad did a Let's Play of it, yes, of the Tiger Electronics, and it was surprisingly in-depth.
True, but it wasn't this.
Right.
This design just isn't LCD screen. LCD in the 80s.
No, this is more like aesthetically, it's more like an early Game Boy game, like Mario World 1, Mario Land 1, or like the original version of Lode Runner.
Yeah, this is more akin to so many of the puzzle platformers that came out on the Game Boy due to its, small screen and woefully slow processor. See also early 1980s platform. This would be right in alongside, the Apple II version of Lode Runner or the Impossible Mission, Miner 249er, other such, vintage games. But the key difference is this is a lot smoother than anything from that era. It's doing all the approximations of how that technology operated, but what it doesn't bring is any of the jank.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine by me.
Yeah.
Look, covered the old school here, and
covered, lived it. Yeah, no thanks.
Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I was surprised at how good this was, given what it was harkening back to, or the limitations it was being placed under. Yeah, pick your poison there. But it all operates very solidly, very competently. Given its restrictiveness, it's absolutely no frills.
Mm-hmm. I might have blanked on this, but what are the actual controls on the PC version?
Left, right, jump, and then there is B to rewind time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Specifically to undo fall, and
yes.
that's kind of the keystone and the linchpin to the puzzle design. As in a given level, you only have so many drops before the next drop starts not looping, but replacing.
There's a buffer that you can run out of.
Right. You see that you see those icons in the top left corner there? That's your fall indicator. Like, so in this room, you get 5 drops that you can rewind. And then if you do a 6th one, then the 5 drops back becomes the new default.
Mm-hmm.
And the point of order here is you've got to take that number count into play to where you drop and how many times you drop. Now, obviously, at this little stage, things aren't all that complicated. They will get more complicated about halfway through the game. It is also worth mentioning that this game is very short. As you probably expect, maybe not, granted, with a game of this nature, it's kind of hard to tell on the surface how many levels you're going to get. 20. Because, we've gotten games that look like this, that play like this, that we've covered recently, that boasted, 150 levels. Or, just thinking back to classic Sokoban, which had 50 levels. Or at least the expanded Game Boy version did. And there's a few other tricks to mention, like with the spikes. You are supposed to rewind in real times, or at least the closest thing this gets to real time. And later on, there will be animals, like snakes, that are dangerous from the side, but if you drop down and basically stomp on their head, they will die.
A la Goomba style.
Yep. And the final major component to the puzzles are those gates, with the A and B atop them. They're the warp gates that allow you to go to different places. Worth noting, if you do go through a portal, you do not rewind your drops. That is absolutely a thing you will have to take into consideration. Also, later on, the warp gates will add a bit of trickery. That is to say, some warp gates will change the lettering if you go through them. So, the A gate here, it'll go to the A position all the time on this level. But on a different level, you might have the A gate, go through it, then it goes to B. And once again, that is, in the puzzle considerations. So, even though this game has very simple controls design, it's, about the barest minimum you could be and still be a game. It's got a lot of depth in its interlocking puzzle mechanisms that really do elevate the entire package well beyond what I was expecting. Like, this is actually a really solid puzzle game. That doesn't overstay its welcome. You know, that's another, that's tying it back to the whole, 20 levels thing. That's pretty short and sweet, even if you might have difficulties solving it, some of the later puzzles. And yeah, as far as the music goes, it's all right. This is the downside when you have a game of such elegant simplicity. Mm-hmm. There's not that much to dive into, but what is there is pretty good.
Yeah.
Sounds like Petty agrees in my assessments.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those things, like, if I had some more time to, like, pluck at it on my own, not on stream, but, like, trying to do this decently on stream is starting to make my brain hurt.
Understandable. Well, thankfully, we are, getting to the wrap-up section.
Yeah. This is one of those times, it's not the game's bad, I'm quitting early, it's trying to make myself look decent is making the brain start smoking.
No. Like, this game requires actual thought to get through.
Mm-hmm. And, like, keeping an eye on chat and shit is hard, Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you do need to get out your thinking cap. Mm-hmm. And, like I said, everything here is very well designed. I have no complaints there.
And, like, I could see, like, a speedrunner. Like, obviously, you're gonna be probably playing to optimize moves and, like, actual time,
Like, if I'm being honest, I thought The Fall of Elena Temple here was a much better game than The Adventures of Elena Temple.
I kind of concur with that.
Because I do remember playing a bit of that, and it played like an old school 80s platformer from my recollection, which, means very janky and stiff. And, like I said, this is what I'm talking about in terms of this game here. It's got all the look of an LCD game, a old school PC puzzle game, but it doesn't play like shit.
Mm-hmm. This plays like people remember games in the era, not how games of the era actually are. That's probably a topic in and of itself, let's be real.
Anyway, so in terms of pricing, well, it's coming in at a nice and robust $2.99.
Mm-hmm.
Technically $2.39 with its new release promotion. Once again, absolute recommendation for The Fall of Elena Temple. Not just because it's dirt cheap. Like, this is an actual worthwhile puzzle game that I'd almost say could get away with being more expensive. But,
not too much more. If you said this was a $5, I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, $5 would about be the maximum. Like, if we were going to push anything beyond that, I'd definitely say it would have to go about 50 levels.
Mm-hmm. Or be more than just like a kind of one-note gimmick.
Right. But since this is a game that was literally scaled for the playdates, a one-note gimmick is kind of what it has to be.
Right.
Anyway, so any other questions, comments, or concerns about the fall of Elena Temple?
I do not think so.
All right, then. So that'll about do it for
It looks
this.
pretty simple, yeah.
That's the point.
Right.
But underneath the surface, it's a lot more complicated than it appears to be at first glance.
Oh yeah, no, I know that. It seems like it's
Yes.
you get that it's fairly explained.
Anyway, so that'll about do it for this game here. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty Fan will be reviewing Infection Maze.